Hello everybody. In this clip I want to discuss with you how we can easily convert moles to grams, and because this is a very important skill when we want to make up solutions. So let's assume we have a 0.5 moles of a substance, let's say of glucose, and we know that this has a molecular mass of 180 gram per mole, and we want to know how many grams is the equivalent of this 0.5 moles. So how many grams does this equate to? And I want to show you 4 common methods that are very often taught at school. So the first method is really what I call the first principles rule of 3 method, which is a very logical method. And we can say, since we know our molecular mass, which is 180 gram per mole, we can also state this as 1 mole equates to, or is equivalent to 180 grams. But we don't have 1 mole, we have a 0.5 mole, which would equate to, well, x grams. And according to the rule of 3, we can convert that into 2 fractions. So we can say 1 mole over 0.5 mole is the same as 180 grams divided by x grams. And now we can just simply rearrange this equation. We bring the x to that side, we bring the fraction to that side, and we get x grams equals 180 grams times 0.5 mole divided by 1 mole. And that's quite easy. We can do that even without a calculator, and we would get 90 grams. So our 0.5 mole that we have equates to 90 grams. So that's one method of dealing with it. It's a logical method. It can get a little bit messy when we have more complex numbers. The second method that you can use to calculate the number of grams would be the equation method. And again, this is a method that is taught very often in schools, which basically uses an equation. And of course, you need to know this equation. So the equation would be the amount of grams equals the molecular mass times the number of moles. So that is the equation, and you find that sometimes in textbooks. So all we need to do is really plug in our numbers. So the number of grams here would be molecular mass, 180 gram per mole, times 0.5 mole, and we need to make sure that we have the same units here, mole and mole. We can't use just in one case millimole and in the other mole. They always have to be in the same system, but we see that the moles cancel out, and when we calculate that we would get 90 grams. So 90 grams is contained in these 0.5 mole. Now, if you don't want to remember all these equations, you can also use what is known as this triangle method, and that is very often done in school, where you basically draw the triangle and you put in the units of the entities that you are dealing with. So here top one would be gram, here would be mole, and here would be gram per mole. And the way you use that is basically you are asking what am I looking for, so that's the gram here, and therefore we remove that. So we have gram equals, and what we've got left is mole times gram per mole. So this triangle method actually just helps you to remember the equation, and it's guided by the units. So we've got 0.5 mole times 180 gram per mole. And what we see is that the moles cancel out, and we have got 0.5 times 180 grams. So therefore, the number of grams that are in this 0.5 mole is 90 grams. The drawback of this method is that you really need to remember what unit goes in which field. So the last method that I want to show you is my favorite one. It's the dimensional analysis, where we don't have to remember any equation or where which unit goes. We are just guided by the units to set up our calculation. So we know that we've got 180 gram per mole, and we have a 0.5 mole, and we want to calculate the amount of grams. So what's the unit that we are looking for? Well, the unit is grams, and we write that down so that we don't lose track of it. Do we have grams anywhere? Yes, we've got grams here in this molecular mass, and the grams are located on top of the fraction line here. So we can write it as 180 grams per mole. That means the grams are already in the right place where we want to have them, on top of the fraction line. So that's good, but we've got these pesky mole down here in the denominator, and now we need to get rid of these moles in the denominator. So the easiest way is to multiply it with another given that contains moles. So do we have anything? Yes, we've got 0.5 moles. So times 0.5 mole. And what we see is that the way we've written it, we can easily cancel out the mole. So all that's left is our gram here, and that is exactly what we wanted. So we can finish. We know that we've done everything. We've taken everything into account. And we have got 180 gram times 0.5, which of course is 90 grams. And with this method, you don't need to remember an equation, you don't need to set up the rule of 3 fractions, or you don't have to remember which field a unit goes or something. All you do is you are guided by the units that you are looking at, but just simply writing the equation in such a way that all the units apart from the one that you're looking for cancel each other out.